I don't have to do anything.
You
That's
do.
not my contract.
Everything is in your contract. It's a marital contract. Till death do us part.
Okay, let's have a good video. Here's our cold open.
Hey everyone, welcome to my home kitchen. This week's Genius recipe started as an accident, but it turned out that it whipped together a super light hummus with a texture probably unlike anything you've ever had before. Did it work?
Fine.
Okay. All right, great. Let's move on. This week's recipe comes from Hetty McKinnon, who is the author of several cookbooks, including most recently To Asia with Love, and she's also the creator of Peddler Journal and the House Specials podcast. And if you want more Genius recipes from people like Hetty every week, plus to support all of the other great work that we are doing at Food 52, you could hit like and subscribe right now, and you'll be doing all of those things. We will get to the very cool, surprising, accidental hummus very soon, but first I want to get these carrots roasting, because what Hetty does is not just serve this hummus as a dip, which would be great, but she actually has turned it into more of a full meal, or at least a main course, or a very well thought out side dish, by adding roasted carrots and some za'atar oil, which we will whisk together later because it takes 2 seconds to whisk together. It's a good thing these carrots are really easy to roast because my brain is not really with me today. So these just got olive oil, salt, and pepper. They just get chucked in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes, and you can make the rest of your hummus. While those get started roasting, I wanted to show you a few highlights from my conversation with Hetty, where she told me all about how she stumbled on this Genius recipe the first time. Hi, Hetty.
Hi, Kristen.
How are you?
I'm doing okay, actually.
Can you tell me how you stumbled on this Genius recipe?
Wow, and I'm so overwhelmed that you're actually calling it a genius recipe, because it was a complete accident, and I don't see it as anything amazing, but it tastes amazing. So it's genius in that sense. But it's a whipped hummus, and I mean, you have to question whether the world needs another hummus recipe, right? There are so many, and who am I to write a hummus recipe? But this one really, it came about purely as a kitchen accident, because sometimes I can be a pretty lazy cook. Like when I'm cooking for my family, when I'm not paying attention to like writing down ratios and things like that, I can just really just go with the flow and just, throw things in. And that's what happened with this whipped hummus. Like I basically opened a can of chickpeas, and I thought I had drained them, and I hadn't, and I just tipped the whole thing into my Vitamix blender. And then I thought, oh no, like what have I done? What have I done? But again, being a little lazy, I decided just to leave the liquid in there, the aquafaba, and I thought, oh, actually, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like, so I won't put any water in. I'll just let the aquafaba. I'll use that as my liquid content, and then everything else kind of went in. And I usually don't add oil to my hummus until the end, so I kind of started whipping this thing up. And as I started whipping, it started getting really big, and much bigger than I normally get when I have hummus. Normally you have to really work for that really smooth texture, but this one just came out so smooth. And when I tasted it, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I don't know if anyone's done this recipe before. Maybe they have, but for me, it was such a light bulb moment, like, wow, this is what aquafaba could do. And many years ago, there was a lady we have at the schools in Australia. They're not called lunchrooms, they're called canteens, and so they're run by parents who go and cook lunches and stuff for the kids. And so there was this one woman called Elham. She was Lebanese, and she ran the canteen in my kids' school, and she made the smoothest hummus. And she always said to me, my secret is canned chickpeas. And so now I never really cook fresh chickpeas. to make my hummus. I just use the canned stuff.
If you want to be daring, like Hetty was, you can just dump the whole thing of chickpeas into whatever machine you're using. If you want to have a little bit more control, as I usually do in life, you can drain the chickpeas, keep the liquid, and then add only as much liquid as you need, because there's just so much variation between chickpea brands. Some of them have more chickpeas, some of them have more liquid. Sometimes the liquid's thicker, sometimes it's runnier. And then whatever machine you're using will behave a little bit differently too. So it is kind of nice to start with, you know, see, look at all of this liquid. I'm gonna start with, let's see. Let's start with about a 1/4 cup. There. And I predict that my blender will want more, and then I can add more right away. The other ingredients, as in most hummus recipes, tahini, garlic, juice from a whole lemon, but I start with no more than about 2 tablespoons, just for the same reason, controlling the uncontrollable recipe. That's it, right? Yes. Chickpeas, chickpea liquid, tahini, and garlic. This is going to be very loud. You're going to blend it for 2 minutes straight until it gets extremely fluffy. As soon as it starts struggling, add more liquid. All right, that was fast. Whoa, look at that. Super fluffy. Now, last thing is to put in a little bit of really cold water and then season it to taste with salt and pepper. So again, you'll want to not just dump in the full amount, but add a little bit of ice water, see how fluffy, how loose it gets, adjust it to your liking. Check this out. Whoa, it's extremely airy and creamy and smooth. Last thing to do is to make the za'atar oil, which takes 15 seconds. Just a couple tablespoons of olive oil. Some za'atar, which is this really fragrant herby mix with a lot of dried thyme and sesame seed. There. It's about a tablespoon. And then a little bit of chili flakes and some salt. And this is good on so many things. It's great drizzled over this, but anything that's left, just dunk bread in or toss salad in it, whatever. It's really delicious. Okay, now I think I have everything. So here's what your hummus will probably look like right out after it comes out of the blender. It will be this like super luscious, a little bit loose, creamy mixture. It's a little bit warm coming out of the blender. This is what it looks like after it's been chilling. So it just is, depending on what you want. If you want something that's a little bit firmer and more scoopable, chill it a little bit. If you want something more like this, don't bother. Last time I checked on these carrots, I may have burned myself and dropped them, which led to them breaking apart and exploding. But there's enough that are still whole that we can put them on our platter. And okay, za'atar oil. And some toasted chopped pistachios. And parsley. Very roughly chopped because it was post-burn. Here, look at that fancy hummus that you can eat for dinner. Look who's awake from her nap. Just in time for food. It's pretty yummy. You wanna try some? You wanna dip? Dip some nuts in this za'atar oil?
Nut.
Nut? Yeah, you like the nuts, right? You wanna dip?
More for us.
This is amazing. It is, I mean, this texture is unbelievable. Mike, did you get a close-up of this? Look at this. It's just like the creamiest, most luscious hummus-like thing. Oh. Mm-hmm. And the pistachios.
Perfectly roasted.
I think this recipe is incredible. It showed me a whole different side of hummus, and I'm so glad that Hetty accidentally discovered it and then rolled with it and figured out how to share it with all of us. If you want to hear more of my conversation with Hetty, where we talked about all kinds of things, not just this hummus, it's on the Genius Recipe Tapes podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts, and I would love to hear what you think. Bye bye. We'll see you in 2 weeks.